This video was made for educational purposes only. Love, a force both beautiful and terrifying, possesses an unparalleled ability to drive individuals to unimaginable extremes. It can uplift souls, inspire greatness, and forge unbreakable bonds. However, as you will see here today, in its darker manifestations, love can distort reality, leading individuals down a twisted path of obsession and destruction. The intensity of love has been known to push individuals to commit unthinkable acts, even resorting to violence and capital crimes in the name of this overpowering emotion. So, join us, as we unravel the harrowing story of a daughter's rebellious and desperate act of violence against her own family, driven by a love that led to a path of darkness and destruction. In a chilling tale of betrayal and tragedy, we delve into the haunting case of the Richardson family. Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada, was a small and quiet community that was generally safe and the ideal place to raise a family. But in April of 2006, all that would change when this picture-perfect community would be shook to its core as investigators discovered a gruesome scene at the Richardson family residence. Upon arrival, investigators realized not only were they dealing with the most horrific crime of their town's history, but that 12-year-old Jasmine had been missing from the home also. Immediately detectives would begin searching for Jasmine, thinking she may have been taken from the residence. But the more they searched and the more they investigated, the more suspicions grew on whether they were looking for a victim or a suspect. A case that would bring the quiet community to its knees. Join us as we delve into the disturbing events that unfolded in this tragic tale of perverted love, betrayal, and unspeakable violence. This is the twisted case of the Richardson family. It was at a punk rock concert that Jasmine Richardson first met Jeremy Steinke. Jasmine used to be a happy, outgoing girl, according to her relatives and friends. Well, that was until she met and started dating Jeremy. Jasmine Richardson was raised in what some would call a picture-perfect family. However, behind closed doors, she was struggling with mental health issues and delved into the dark world of online subcultures, particularly the gothic and vampire subculture. This fascination with a dark fantasy realm would eventually lead her down a path of violence and destruction. She started posting frequently on websites like vampirefreaks.com. She began dressing entirely in black and applying a lot of makeup. Jasmine went from being a normal preteen to a menacing, brooding version of herself in the blink of an eye. Jeremy had a challenging upbringing. The Richardson family was as perfect as one could imagine, but the Steinke family was much more dysfunctional. Jeremy's mother suffered from alcoholism, and her partner frequently mistreated him. School was not a place to hide. Jeremy's endured constant bullying from the other kids. He had already attempted suicide by the time he met Jasmine. Because of his rough upbringing, Jeremy had developed an odd, complex persona. He carried a vial filled with human blood around his neck wherever he went. He would sometimes tell people he was a 300-year-old werewolf. Jeremy and Jasmine would do everything together, including watch movies and listen to music. Upon learning of the relationship, Jasmine's family made an effort to keep her from seeing Jeremy. They disapproved of their preteen daughter dating a grown man. Even though they tried their hardest to keep Jasmine away from Jeremy, their efforts were ultimately unsuccessful. The bond between them seemed to grow even stronger. Despite their different ages, Jasmine was certain that she and Jeremy were falling deeply in love. Jasmine's relationship took a turn for the worse when her family's rage only served to fuel the flames, pushing her farther toward Jeremy. Jeremy also sensed the animosity from the Richardson family toward him. He maintained a blog on the internet and, on April 3, 2006, he wrote a lengthy complaint regarding Jasmine's parents' unfair treatment of her. "I want to S their throats," he said in his closing remarks. "There will be silence at the end. Their blood will serve as payment." Jasmine's distance from her family was increasing. The Richardson family was clueless about how to reunite with their naive daughter. She seemed to love Jeremy even more with every attempt they made. Jasmine started sending Jeremy emails with the pieces of a strategy. She wrote, "It starts with me ending them. And ends with me living with you." Jeremy seemed excited. he answered, "I really like your plan. But when it comes to the details and stuff, we need to be a little more creative." And just like that, that is where the idea took off. The plan was disclosed to Jasmine's friends, as they recall. They could not fathom that this young child, who was also their friend, could be considering ending her parents. Jasmine and Jeremy watched a movie together on April 22, 2006. Natural Born Killers, directed by Oliver Stone and penned by Quentin Tarantino, was the choice. A youthful pair in the movie goes on a shockingly violent rampage motivated by love. Medicine Hat would undergo a permanent transformation the following day thanks to Jasmine and Jeremy. Some tend to think that the couple were living out the movie in real life to fulfill their sick and twisted fantasies. No matter the case, what the couple did next would permanently alter their lives forever. Tyler Richardson was only 8 years old. The Richardson home received a visit from his friend on April 23. Nevertheless, there was no response when the friend knocked on the door. But, through a basement window, the small boy looked in, hoping to see Tyler. He squinted through the glass, seeing nothing. Then he witnessed a horrifying sight. Tyler's friend staggered back from the house and ran straight to his mom. After telling his mother what he witnessed from the window, his mom immediately called the police. On April 23, 2006, at 1 p.m., the bodies of Mark Richardson, 42, and his wife Deborah, 48, were discovered in the home's basement, while Tyler Jacob, the family's 8-year-old son, was found upstairs. 12-year-old Jasmine was not in the home. There was a brief period of concern that she might have been removed from the house as a victim. However, following further investigation by the authorities, she and her 23-year-old boyfriend, Jeremy Steinke, were taken into custody in the Leader, Saskatchewan, community the next day. Both were accused of the horrifying offense. Later, on May 3, 2006, Steinke's friend Casey Lancaster, 19, was charged with being an accessory for driving them away in her pickup truck and for disposing of evidence. It was decided that Deborah had been first. Her body was covered in at least a dozen wounds. Then, Mark was more than likely the next in line. With a screwdriver in hand, Mark appeared to have put up a fight. His body showed clues of attempts to defend himself, but he ultimately failed to do so. But, what shocked people the most, was the discovery of 8-year-old Tyler. Tyler had been fast asleep in his bed. The 8-year-old laid there completely defenseless, and unaware of the danger lurking through the house that fateful morning. Jasmine and Jeremy were ultimately charged with 3 counts of M. In addition to the emails that the young couple exchanged, the police also spoke with several witnesses who claimed that Jeremy had admitted to the crime. Her name could not be lawfully released in the press at the time of her trial. She could not be sentenced as an adult for at least another 2 years, and her only name was JR. This meant that Jasmine could only get a maximum sentence of 10 years, even though her crimes were violent. After a brief trial, Jasmine was found guilty of horrific crimes, making her the youngest person in Canadian history to be found guilty of multiple crimes of this degree. Less morbidly fascinating was Jeremy's story behind his confession. He had confessed to the crimes in an interview with an undercover agent while he was being held in custody. Like Jasmine, he was determined to be responsible for all 3 vicious crimes. He was given 3 concurrent life sentences, and he will not be eligible for parole until he has completed 25 years of his sentence. He asked Jasmine to marry him while she was still incarcerated, and she accepted. The two corresponded regularly by letter, and neither of them ever expressed regret for what they had done. Jasmine was exonerated from the criminal justice system in the year 2016. She was still a year younger than Jeremy was when he assisted in her family's demise. Even though her partner is still behind bars, she is now free. Many people were not satisfied with the outcome of the case and the sentences handed down by the Canadian judicial system. People can only speculate as to why Jeremy and Jasmine did what they did, since they never disclosed their actual motivations. It is possible that they were just crazy, or that they were offended by the Richardsons' disapproval of the relationship. However, there is no way to explain the reasoning behind doing what they did to Tyler, and the couple has never shown any regret for it, even all these years later. Jeremy and Jasmine served significant prison sentences. And despite their discussions about werewolves, blood vials, and their plans to escape together, it is possible that they eventually will one day reunite. So, do you think that the couple had gotten fair sentences? Or do you think they should have gotten more or less prison time? Do you feel like they both should be held equally responsible, or do you feel like Jasmine was a victim herself due to her age? Some might say yes, because she was susceptible to manipulation and grooming, that she was actually taken advantage of. Do you feel like Jasmine's parents should have done more to keep the two apart? I'm going to go out on a limb here and say if they knew what we know now, they would have made sure to keep them from seeing one another. Or, do you feel like if the parents would have let them carry on with the relationship, they would never have committed the heinous crime in the first place? Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching this video through its entirety. Your support truly means the world to me. And if you enjoyed this type of content, don't forget to subscribe, turn on all notifications, and share it with your friends. Remember, your feedback keeps me motivated and helps me create even better content for you. So if you would like to see more videos about the strange and mysterious, then check back in a couple of days for new content because we post 2 to 3 times a week. Well, until next time, thank you again, and stay awesome.